I represent the good people of Buruku, my dear colleagues. I'm from Benue State. I rise to move that the House do set aside all our relevant rules to allow for strangers into the chambers for the purpose of witnessing the proceedings for today. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I so move.
Against its name. I serve it. Whip, could you lead them? We'll have an unbelievable crowd on the gallery. Honorable colleagues, we'll proceed to take some announcements, even though I presume it's not going to be palatable on the side of letter of defection. I write to inform the Right Honorable Speaker and my distinguished honorable colleagues of the House of Representatives that the House is aware that as a result of the division and factional crisis within the People's Democratic Party in Abuja, Representative Zaphaniah B. Jisalo of the People's Democratic Party hereby on this day, 5th October 2017, defect to All Progressive Congress, APC. Thank you and God bless you. Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. More coming, more coming. More coming.
Honorable colleagues, can we take our seats, please? Just a minute. Just a minute. Just a minute. Honorable Osai, I'm sure you don't want to take. And welcome the Honorable Minister of the FCT, who is here today to observe our proceedings. You know, ours is the legislative arm of the FCT administration. It's supposed to be the governor, we're supposed to be his parliament. So, Honorable Minister, you are welcome, and members of your management team. Welcome. Deputy Minor, oh, okay, the one executive session, I don't know. That can be done later. When we invite him, we can have executive session with him as our governor, but not today.
And guidelines is the Constitution. And Mr. Speaker, we must as a house be guided by the Constitution. And in a situation like this, Mr. Speaker, I think I need protection. Mr. Speaker, I need protection. Mr. Speaker, the matter on ground is a constitutional order. And I refer the House and Honorable Speaker to Section 68 of our Constitution, which is the grand norm on what Nigeria is based on. And it states that a member of the Senate or House of Representatives shall vacate his seat in the House of which he is a member if, and I quote section G, subsection G. Okay, I read on. A, if he becomes a member of another legislative chamber, these are conditions where he should vacate the House. I go to G, Mr. Speaker. Being a person whose election to the House was sponsored by a political party, which in this case, they were sponsored by PDP. he became a member of another political party before the expiration of the period for which the House was elected, provided that his membership of the latter political party is not as a result of division in the political party. Mr. Speaker, we are all aware today. Mr. Speaker, we are aware PDP is one, and there is no division in PDP.
What division is
But Mr. Speaker, because we believe in the rule of law, this matter shall be taken to court, and I hope these honorable members will be ready to come and defend themselves. But we are not going to allow it to lie down. We are going to take it to court, and both of them must vacate their seat, because the judiciary is just, and we believe the judiciary shall do justice to us. Mr. Speaker, I so observe. And the point at hand, on those. So, Mr. Speaker, definitely our party, which these honorable members were elected upon, will take this case to court, and we shall seek redress, because they ought to have vacated their seats before defection. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Osai, the senior advocate of the masses.
Hi, Nicholas Osai. I represent Dokwa Federal Constituency of Delta State, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there's a case between Adekule and Ondo State PDP that was decided by the Supreme Court of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in the year 2016. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, Mr. Speaker, the Constitution.
No. Aside, no. He has to withdraw that.
Please, can we listen to Honorable Osai in absolute silence, please? Please. Okay. One house. Honorable Boma, can you take your seat? Honorable TJ. Honorable TJ.
You know, we reverence this chair of Mr. Speaker because Mr. Speaker ruled fairly. And I respect Mr. Speaker and his ruling. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, the issue of Adekule versus PDP in Supreme Court judgment delivered ties your hand. Ties your hand completely, Mr. Speaker, because beginning of this 8th Assembly session, Mr. Speaker swore an oath to defend the Constitution and all other statutes which the ruling of the Supreme Court becomes part of it. Mr. Speaker, the ruling of the Speaker ties your hand. The law ties your hand. Now you have to take a decision based on the Constitution. And now, the minority whip of this honorable House has already adduced that, Mr. Speaker. It is upon that. It is upon that premise, Mr. Speaker. I think I'm protected, Mr. Speaker. I think I'm protected. Because I believe that the majority and supremacy of argument rule this House and not noise-making. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, I believe, Mr. Speaker, since we have sworn an oath, all of us, 360 of us, have sworn an oath to defend the Constitution and defend any ruling from the judiciary. Mr. Speaker, the ruling of the Supreme Court ties your hand and ties the House. So on that, anything contrary, Mr. Speaker, is an impunity and a breach of the Constitution and the ruling from the judiciary. On this case, Mr. Speaker, I urge you, Mr. Speaker, to respect the law and ask for the vacation of the seat of Honorable Jisalo.
No.
On this ground, Mr. Speaker, On this ground, Mr. Speaker, I rest my case.
Okay, let me rule on this one. Because you are out of order already, I must rule on this point of order before you take your point of order. Now, honorable colleagues, for some of us who were here in the Sixth Assembly, we inserted this provision in the Constitution. And if you read very well, Honorable Osai, you would see that as it was captured by the minority whip, that the declaration of the seat of a member vacant will be based in these circumstances on the fact that there was no division in the political party to which he belonged. Now, division in the political party is not defined. We did not define it in the Constitution. So it therefore means so what that therefore means is that division in a political party is a question of facts and no question of law. And facts will vary according to circumstances of the case. The circumstances that may lead to Zaphaniah or teacher's defection may not be the same in the case of the other case that you referred us to. So we'll now allow the judiciary to do their work, examine the situation, and tell us whether there was division or not, and then we can enforce their decision, please. So let's not belabor this issue. That's my ruling. I hope it's not on this matter that we have ruled. Okay, Honorable Doe, please.
Mr. Speaker, I remain Diri Doye, representing Yenagoa Kolokuma Opokuma Federal Constituency. I'm an Ijoman from Bayelsa State. Mr. Speaker, I come under Order 9, Rule 7. I read, Mr. Speaker, with your kind permission. It shall be out of order to use offensive and insulting language on members of the House. Mr. Speaker, this is a very honorable House, and that is why the appellation, honorable members, is added to all of us. And for the integrity of this House, Mr. Speaker, I want to advise that the honorable colleague who called Nicholas Osai a fake lawyer should render an unreserved apology to Mr. Nicholas Osai. Mr. Speaker, I so move. Thank you.
I represent the good people of Buruku. My dear colleagues, I'm from Benue State. Mr. Speaker, I indeed agree with Honorable Doye that foul language should not be used on the floor of the House. That's why I think it is pertinent that Honorable Osai should apologize. Yes. I'm coming. Honorable Osai said that we are making noise here. We are here for serious business. And I think we should withdraw that. He said we are making noise here.
Point of order. Point of order.
This is getting interesting. I guess those who raise the point of order are quite apt. And first of all, I don't know who was it that referred to Honorable Osai as a fake lawyer. The apology would be very simple if I were you. You just substitute the words that Osai is not a lawyer, and you couldn't have been referring to him. So who was the person? Who is the person? Oh, is you? Ah, that's serious. So is the whip? Okay, whip.
Go sit down.
The Right Honorable Speaker, I am Pali Iriase. I represent Onwa Federal Constituency.
Keep quiet.
Mr. Honorable Sai, to the best of my knowledge, is not a lawyer, and I could not have referred to him. Thank you very much.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.